Prologue: The Cost of the Mask. When Marvel Studios introduced Tom Holland's Peter Parker to the world, they marketed him as the ultimate modern power fantasy. He was the fresh-faced, energetic antidote to the grim, world-ending stakes of the older Avengers. He had a billionaire mentor in Tony Stark, a high-tech suit outfitted with a personal AI, an incredibly supportive best friend, and a loving aunt, who eventually found out his secret and had his back. On paper, he had the easiest transition into superheroism in cinematic history. He was the kid who got to go on international field trips and swing around Europe. But if you sit back and look at the trajectory of this specific iteration of Peter Parker, you realize that Marvel pulled off a massive multi-movie trick. Underneath the pop music, the high school crushes, and the high-tech gadgets lies what is arguably the most brutally isolated, emotionally devastated version of Spider-Man to ever exist. To be Tom Holland's Spider-Man is to live through a masterclass in emotional erosion. He is a child who was thrust into adult wars before he could legally drive, forced to carry the crushing legacy of an iron god, and ultimately stripped of every single human anchor he had until he was left with absolutely nothing. No money, no family, no friends, and no history. Today, we are looking past the youthful charm and the web-slinging spectacles to analyze the absolute agonizing nightmare of being the MCU's web-slinger. Pack your bags. This is why it deeply, truly sucks to be Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Chapter 1. Weaponized Childhood. Let's look at how Peter's superhero career actually started. He didn't build up to the big leagues. He was drafted into an international paramilitary conflict by an adult billionaire who needed extra muscle. Tony Stark walks into a teenager's bedroom, discovers his secret identity, subtly threatens to tell his Aunt May, and flies him across the world to fight Captain America. Peter is 15 years old, he has no tactical training, no understanding of global politics, and no emotional armor for the violence of war. From that exact moment, Peter's childhood is effectively over. He is caught in a constant, agonizing friction between wanting to be a normal kid who hangs out with his crush and being pulled into life-or-death crises. In Infinity War, he hitches a ride on a spaceship flying into the cosmic dark simply because he feels he has an obligation to protect his neighborhood. He suffocates in the upper atmosphere, watches the Earth disappear beneath him, and ends up on a dead planet fighting a genocidal alien tyrant. And his reward for his bravery? He is forced to feel his own body turn to ash, crying out to Tony Stark that he doesn't want to go, before dissolving into nothingness for 5 long years. He didn't just lose his childhood, he lost his literal existence before he could even graduate high school. Chapter 2. The Shadow of the Iron Man. When Peter returns from the blip, the trauma only compounds. Tony Stark is dead, and the world decides that a 16-year-old kid in red spandex is supposed to fill the void left by the most influential figure on the planet. Everywhere Peter looks, on brick walls in Venice, on news broadcasts, on the faces of mourning citizens, he sees the face of his dead mentor. The psychological pressure is immense. He isn't allowed to mourn his father figure in private. He has to do it while answering press questions about whether he is the next leader of the Avengers. Because he is so desperate for an adult figure to guide him, he falls headfirst into the trap set by Mysterio. Quentin Beck exploits Peter's grief, weaponizing Tony Stark's memory to steal high-tech orbital weapons that Tony foolishly left in the hands of a teenager. When Peter finally realizes he's been tricked, it fractures his ability to trust. And the parting gift Mysterio leaves him, broadcasting Peter's real name and face to the entire global media, painting a massive permanent bullseye on the back of a kid who just wanted to go to college. Chapter 3. The Destruction of the Sanctuary. The exposure of his identity immediately ruins the lives of everyone associated with him. Ned and MJ are rejected from their dream college simply because they are friends with Spider-Man. His Aunt May is hounded by federal agents and media reporters. Peter's sanctuary, his small warm apartment in Queens, is completely dissolved. This desperation leads him to Dr. Strange, asking for a spell to make the world forget his secret. But because he tries to save his friends' futures mid-spell, the fabric of reality breaks, bringing multiversal villains directly to his doorstep. And this is where the universe decides to break him completely. Aunt May is the heart of Peter's world. She is the one who convinces him to help these multiversal villains rather than just sending them back to die. She teaches him the true meaning of responsibility. And for her kindness, she is brutally murdered by the Green Goblin right in front of Peter. He has to sit on a cold, rain-slicked concrete floor, holding her hand, watching her slip away while the police fire weapons at him from the shadows. He didn't just lose an aunt, he lost his last remaining parent figure because he tried to do the right thing. The very moral compass she gave him is what got her killed. Chapter 4. The Universal Erasure. To stop the multiverse from collapsing, Peter is forced to make the ultimate, heartbreaking sacrifice. He asks Dr. Strange to cast a spell that doesn't just make people forget he's Spider-Man, it makes the entire universe forget that Peter Parker ever existed. Think about the absolute existential horror of that sentence. It's not just that he can't go to MIT. It's because his school records are gone, his medical files are gone, his bank accounts are gone. Every photograph Ned has on his phone of their childhood shows an empty space where Peter used to stand. He has been systematically deleted from the human race. After the spell, when he visits MJ at her donut shop, he has a script prepared. He wants to tell her the truth. But then he looks at the small band-aid on her forehead, a reminder of the violence she suffered just for knowing him. He realizes that the only way to keep the people he loves safe is to let them forget him forever. He watches his best friend and the girl he loves look him dead in the eye, treat him like a polite stranger, and talk about their bright futures without him. He turns around, walks out into the winter cold, completely alone in a city of 8 million people. Epilogue: The Real Spider-Man. By the time the credits roll on his first trilogy, Tom Holland's Spider-Man has been completely stripped of the Marvel Cinematic Universe luxury. He doesn't have Stark Tech anymore. He doesn't have a billionaire satellite network. He lives in a tiny, run-down apartment with a landlord banging on the door about the rent. He is studying for a GED because he officially doesn't exist to the education system. He has been reduced to the absolute purest and most tragic form of Spider-Man. It sucks to be Tom Holland's Spider-Man because he had to experience the absolute peak of cosmic glory, fighting alongside gods, traveling the universe, owning billion-dollar tech, just to have the universe pull the rug out from under him and drop him into a state of total, unmitigated isolation. He didn't just lose a battle, he lost his entire identity. Yet, as he puts on that cheap, hand-stitched suit and dives out into the freezing New York night, he doesn't stop. He doesn't turn into a villain. He keeps swinging, because he knows that even if the world doesn't remember Peter Parker, New York still needs Spider-Man. Thanks for staying through this deconstruction of the loneliest kid in the MCU. If you want to keep exploring the deep emotional and psychological realities behind your favorite icons, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Did Peter make the right choice at the end of No Way Home, or did the universe take too much from him? Until next time, look out for your neighborhood. He is the most agile, charismatic, and comic book accurate web-slinger we've ever had. A Peter Parker who loved being Spider-Man, fighting with a smile and a quick joke. But under the brilliant quips lies a hero defined by a single catastrophic failure. The kid who was fast enough to save an entire city, but exactly 1 second too late to catch the love of his life. Next week, we're unpacking the grief of the ghost who stopped pulling his punches. Why it really sucks to be Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Subscribe and don't miss it.